So I'm with Dr. Stephanie. She is a therapist doctor. What is the difference between CPTSD and PTSD?
Oh, I love this question. CPSD is chronic exposure to big T, big trauma, chronic
Okay.
exposure in your life over a specific amount of time. Or I shouldn't even say specific, over a lifetime.
So chronic exposure, because I don't think people actually understand what chronic means. Chronic means often.
Yes. And so let's say for I'm very open and honest with my story. When I was younger, I was molested every day of my life from 4 to 10. That's chronic I have chronic PTSD. There's a lot of carryover and a lot of similarities that mimic PTSD, but the chronic is a little bit more in depth. It's ingrained in us. It's what we know. And so that chronic, it dictates everything we do. It's not one that PTSD, you can heal, and PTSD becomes part of your story, and that's how you heal from it. With the CPSD, it is your story, but there's always a trigger. There's always something underlying that it's something like you just can't quite get over.
No, it makes sense. Is this why? So they have EDMR therapy, which is for PTSD.
Yes.
Is that why EDMR therapy doesn't work per se, like with CPTSD?
I feel like it. I can't speak on that not 100% because it's
Right.
not my,
Yep.
I'm not EMDR certified. However, for those that come back to me from EMDR that have chronic, it does not work as well because it's constant. So
It's not this one event that you're working
we're
through.
working through a whole lifetime of events. And also think about it from this perspective. During our formative years, if you're under so much stress, formative years being from like 4 to 11, if you're under constant stress, that means your brain's not developing. It's not adding the serotonin and dopamine because you're in that stress and it's always being withheld. So your brain forms differently. There's research studies about this. Your brain will form differently because it's not getting the proper usage
Right.
of the serotonin and dopamine and all of that stuff. And so because of that, now we have trauma. Our brains aren't releasing what it's supposed to release to begin with, and it's not formed correctly, and it's just compounding on compounding.
No, and that makes a lot of sense because like I got diagnosed with PTSD, and like the one thing that really I struggle with sometimes, not as much anymore, through the help of a lot of therapy, but was the smell of blood.
Yeah.
Because after my dad committed suicide, I went into his vehicle and he bled out in his
Yeah,
car, and
yeah.
it was covered. But it was just that event. It wasn't something continual
Sure.
that happened. So, and I think sometimes people don't understand what the differences is. And so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, I mean, Dr. Stephanie's tagged down below. She's an amazing therapist. Make sure you check her out. Tagged right there. Go follow her.